Now, a mother and her boyfriend who killed their 5-year-old daughter, or 5-month-old daughter, will now be sentenced on the 4th of November. It really is an awful case. The two are out on bail. It has been extended. They've also been found guilty of raping and assaulting the man's 10-year-old stepdaughter and assaulting and torturing his 12-year-old stepson. Today, the state was due to begin arguments in aggravation of sentence. Our reporter Masego Ratlacha is on that story. As I've mentioned, it truly is an awful story. What emerged in court today? What is the state saying?
Well, it was a very short court appearance today, Jeremy. Nothing much happened because of the fact that the original presiding judge is on another cause in George. So he's not around in Johannesburg, and therefore the case had to be postponed to the 4th of November for sentencing. But we do know that the state is not going to be lenient in terms of their aggravation of sentence. Of course, it's because of, the severity of the merits of this case. A 5-month-old little girl was brutally beaten. We saw some of the court papers that say that this 5-month-old little girl at hospital, they said that her kneecaps had been broken. We also found out that she had been shaken too much, so she had very severe injuries. And then there was also the case of the 10-year-old girl who was repeatedly raped. This man has been found guilty of sexually assaulting his daughter, using, a lot of things to penetrate her, basically. And then also the stepson, a 12-year-old, or then who was 12 years old then, who has a learning disability, Jeremy. He grows a bit slower than other children in terms of his brain. He was tortured. He was locked in a room. He was, held down. He was beaten in the stomach by this man for several months. So it's really not going to be a lenient type of aggravation of sentence.
What do we know about this pair, and what have they said previously?
Well, what we know, Jeremy, is that they met at the gym. Basically, this man, they live in Kempton Park. That's where they're from. This man works at a gym, and she was there as a client at the gym. That's where they met. At that time, she already had her 12-year-old son and her 10-year-old daughter. They fell in love, and they moved in together, and that's when the abuse started. They are quite young. We also know that this woman testified, actually, Jeremy, in court, that she was not abused by this man. It was also found out that this little girl, the 10-year-old little girl who was repeatedly raped, had told her mother. She testified in court that she had told her mother that this man comes into my room at night and he hurts me. And she did not take that seriously. She did not report it. And we know, Jeremy, that there is an act in the law that says that as an adult, if you're told by a minor that somebody is hurting them in that way, it is your obligation. You have to do it according to the law. You have to go report it. She failed to do that until the little child was seen by one of her teachers at school that her behavior had changed drastically. And that's when she told her teacher that she's in pain and this is what happens back at home. So usually in cases like this, you would remember, Jeremy, baby Daniels, for instance. There was also that Springs Monster case, for instance. A lot of the women who are involved in this case, the mothers, whether they are with a step parent of the child, have always testified that they too were subjected to abuse and they were afraid to stand up to the abuser. But in this case, it's different. This woman actually is still in a relationship with this man, Jeremy. They recently even had another baby together, and that baby has been put into foster care. Now, I don't know, Jeremy, I did have a conversation with Women and Men Against Child Abuse, and I don't know if any of a part of that interview is ready for us to show the viewers what they say concerns them.
And I'm just getting word in my ear that it's not, but we will save that for a later bulletin. ENCA reporter Masego Ratlacha.